Welcome back, America. I'm Hugh Hewitt, joined now by Senator Roy Blunt of Missouri, Chairman of the House the Senate Republican Caucus. Good morning, Senator Blunt. Welcome.
Hugh, great to be with you this morning.
I had your colleague Josh Hawley on yesterday. I like his plan. I like the 80% plan. What do you make of Josh Hawley's plan?
Well, it's a level of government intervention that in February I would have never imagined we'd be talking about, but I also wouldn't have imagined we'd be on the other side of a $2.2 trillion bill, the spending bill. You know, the fact is that this economic crisis is so different than anything we've ever dealt with before. I think we're going to have to look at a number of things that are different than ideas we've had before. Josh has one of those ideas, and I think we need to see where we are in 2 or 3 weeks and what we think June and July is going to look at, and then that's when we really get into deciding what we need to do this summer. Does there need to be another direct payment discussion have? What do we need to do to extend the idea of paycheck protection? Or instead of that, do we need to look at something even more dramatic, like the idea that Senator Hawley's proposed?
Now, my point of view comes from the fact I believe that the unemployment stats are understating the problem and that the claims lag because a lot of people are just behind the curve. There's a 2 or a 4 week lag in unemployment claims from people who have never in their lives been unemployed, don't know the system, don't know how to make it work. And therefore, jumpstarting the economy is a massive challenge. Do you think you've got the data on which to make an informed decision about how much damage has been wreaked by this economic tsunami? That's what I think it is.
Well, I think that's actually, we don't have all the data we need yet, which is actually one of the problems, I think, with the Speaker's view, that we know we have one of the things we did that's turning out not to have the money that it's going to need, and so she wants to sort of redo everything as part of redoing the one thing that we do have the data on. I do think we'll know more about what June and July are going to look like 3 weeks from now than we do today. Also, unfortunately, I think you're probably right on the unemployment numbers, even though we've seen here in the last 3 weeks the biggest rush to unemployment in the history of the country, with more than 17 million people that had jobs 3 weeks ago now on unemployment. And I think because of the way the state's unemployment system works, that's, as you suggested, a number that's lower than the real number, one, of even people who've applied, and two, of people who have never in their wildest imagination thought they'd be applying for unemployment and are having a hard time going through the process of finding out exactly how to do that.
And a psychological barrier to doing it. I think there's a lot of, remarkably, it's not right. People have been paying into the system their whole lives, but there's a lot of shame involved for some people in going for unemployment. And so I think we're going to find out that the patient's gotten a heart attack. We put him into a medically induced coma, but now he's had a heart attack, and you guys have the paddles. I don't know the downside of spending $500 billion a month on relief if you can cut it off. I mean, I don't want to change people's behaviors. I don't want to change the underlying economy. I just don't want to kill it, Senator.
Well, exactly. That is exactly right. And the comeback of the economy is high, obviously, on the president's mind. We're really in two fights here. One is the fight against the virus, and the other is the fight for the economy. And in the long run, the fight for the economy is probably going to be a longer-lasting struggle than the fight against the virus. I don't think we're going to see a V-shaped recovery where we're right back by mid-June to where we were in mid-February or early February. But we've got to be in both of those fights and be fully engaged. And to your point about unemployment, people who've been laid off by employers that they have worked for a week or in many cases for decades have had that people have paid into that system. They need to benefit from the system. One of the reasons that Senator Rubio and Senator Collins came up with the paycheck protection concept was we did think there was merit to keeping people on the payroll they were on rather than going on unemployment, though that was sort of an 8-week solution, and at some point we're going to have to think about whether that's the continued solution for another 8 weeks, or whether what Senator Hawley's talking about is part of the answer, or whether more easy access to unemployment and even unemployment that replaces more of the income than unemployment traditionally has. And, of course, that's what Democrats insisted we do this time, is make that $600 a week addition to the unemployment that your state would otherwise be paying you. And a lot of people have chosen, of course, to take that path. And, frankly, a lot of employers looking at that extra $600 a week have thought, well, this is not a bad alternative for my employees, and let's just go this direction.
Very quickly, Senator, we're almost out of time. If you offered up the Hawley plan, could Speaker Pelosi possibly say no? I mean, it's one way to just clear the decks and also to put into place a program that wouldn't have to go on. Could she possibly say no to the Hawley plan?
Well, I think the last person I'm going to project what they might be for would be the Speaker, but I think it'd be hard for her to say no.
I agree. I hope that plays into your consideration, Senator.